Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and in this one we are going to take a look at something interesting. So a few days ago there was a Ubisoft shareholders meeting, right? And this video has been obtained from that. I'm not sure who made this video. I think okay, this guy from GameFile, from a channel called GameFile, by Stephen Totillo. He obtained this video. I'll link his video in the description below so you guys can take a look at it, because there's no original video anywhere, because this entire thing is translated. I think the meeting is conducted in French, so we can't listen to the actual dialogue. So we are not even sure if the translations are accurate or not. So, but regardless, we're going to just react to this. I mean, it should be as accurately done as possible, because I don't think anyone is going to um, anyone is going to make any incorrections here or anything like that. So basically, two questions were asked from the Ubisoft CEO here. One is about the Assassin's Creed Shadows controversy, and the other one is about the Stop Killing Games initiative. So I'm going to interrupt as little as possible. We're going to skim. We're just going to watch the entire thing in one go, and then we are going to react to it properly.
Guillemot. Boris Ghetto. I'm a recent shareholder, but I'm a long-standing user of Ubisoft wares. I have a couple of questions. First of all, regarding Assassin's Creed Shadows. There's been a lot of controversy regarding that game. How do you respond? Ubisoft has been accused and criticized for this wokest trend. I mean, this is happening in 16th century medieval Japan, and the main character is an African samurai. That's a bold choice by Ubisoft, and in the story he falls in love. That's one of the possibilities of the game. He gets to fall in love with a transgender character. So, woke or no woke? How do you explain Ubisoft's deteriorated reputation, which may actually challenge the foundations of your organization? So is that a show of openness on your part, or are you going to backtrack or backpedal on that leftist political agenda? Is there room for the entertainment world for this kind of stance? Secondly, what about accusations that video games are being killed, and there's this petition with thousands of signatories? How do you make sure that games remain playable and accessible even after server support is discontinued? This petition was initiated in 2024 after Ubisoft announced the end of service support for the crew. AV.
All right, I'm just going to stop right here. So for those of you who are wondering what the Stop Killing Games initiative is we already talked about this in a video. I'll link that video as well, but I'll quickly give a summary so you guys have some context. The Stop Killing Games initiative is basically it's an initiative from the consumers from Europe and stuff like that. Basically, they want game developers, game companies to ensure that games that run on live services or requires an online connections or whatever for the game to run, because gamers, quote unquote, are buying the game, right? Everywhere it mentions that the game is bought by the player, right? Because players are buying the game, that the game should continue to run, right? Even though the game developers decide to discontinue support for the game, like they choose to shut down servers or whatever because they no longer want to maintain it, etc., and so on, that they should ensure that they should ensure that the games are left in a state where players can do multiple things, either create their own server instances so they can continue to play the game, or the game can continue to run in an offline state. They should create some sort of mechanisms to ensure that people can play the game without the game developers involvement, regardless, right? It's nothing about earning money through the game or whatever. They just want to make sure the game can be played. That's it.
Game bought in 2010, and now in 2024 the servers have shut down and the game can't be played anymore. So do you support that petition? At the end of the day, when players buy an Ubisoft, when they buy an Ubisoft game, do they own it? Or is there a chance that they might no longer be able to play the game years later? Thank you for those questions. Let me start with Assassin's Creed Shadows. There's one thing you need to consider. When you get to play the game, you understand that the game is full of characters, and the characters actually blend in with the game. Obviously, with regard to this particular game, what was our goal? We wanted to showcase characters with heroic journeys. Everybody wants to play a hero's journey. You shift your circumstances and you become something more, and it's a very powerful expectation from games. This is a hero quest, and it doesn't just apply to Ubisoft or manga series, or this is an actual character. This is someone who really existed, and showcasing that character has been extremely successful. And that is why we decided to tell that story. We wanted to tell a different story. Regarding the petition,
Okay, so he answered the first question. So basically, what he's saying is like, it's a weird answer. I mean, like he's obviously he's giving, he has come prepared for these questions, and it's a scripted answer, because they don't want to give they don't want to say anything definitive, right? So they're giving like as vague answers as possible. First of all, we need to understand that this guy is he's just a financial dude, right? Based on the answer he gives so far, we know that he has not even we know for a fact that he has not even actually even seen a proper portion of his game, much less like we would have played it, right? I don't think this guy has played any amount of games of his own games, his company's own games or whatever. I'm not sure, right? We can't tell for sure, but there's a fair idea that he has not actually properly played or seen Assassin's Creed Shadows. Okay, first of all, the question, the way the question is structured as well, like, okay, we need to eliminate all this wokeness stuff in the question, and just they should just ask straight on to the point whether it was a good idea of introducing Yasuke, an African samurai, as the main as the main character, right? So I'll give it to. So my point of view is, it's okay if they want to. See, the thing is, right, this entire Yasuke thing, it's a very heavily debated issue, right? They say it's an actual person, right? It is the figure apparently did exist, right? Not apparently, let's just say it did exist. But whether he was a notable samurai or not is a very heavily debated issue. If the Japanese are disputing it, and Western folks are saying it is, and it's a heavily disputed one, then if there's like a big question mark in that factual part of history, I think that itself should indicate that we shouldn't step away from this, right? We should not go through with this, right? Given that they said that they want to be accurate, right? Because it is heavily debated. I don't know. I'm not a history buff. I'm not sure exactly what is real or what's not. It's just that both parties, like both sides of folks, are saying this is it, this is not it. So we don't know, right? So we should stay away from it. If it was like 100% proven and it is there, and the Japanese have accepted it, then I don't think this would have been an issue to begin with, right? Let's ignore the whole transgender stuff. Like, let's just ignore the romance stuff of the game, right? We play the game not for the, like, you can just ignore the romance stuff like that. That's just another boatload of nonsense anyway. But we just want to choose on the protagonist bit. So yeah, and if they, despite all these question marks about Yasuke and his samurai origins or whatever, if they still wanted to go through with this, they could have just made Yasuke just a prominent NPC in the group, right? Like an important figure, like him helping with Naoe's group, and they could have had some other protagonist, like, and just introduce him there, and they could, because their track record so far is like they've always gone for the fictional protagonist, male, female, whatever it is. You can choose whether to be gay or not, right? Because Cassandra could be gay, or she could be straight. Alexis could be gay, could be straight. So whatever, right? You can do male, female, whatever. And Yeah, and they always created the character who was of proper origin from that period of time, from whatever that region was, right? This is the one time they choose to truly deviate, right? And yeah. So, yeah, all that said, and if this guy has actually played his own game, or not even played, like if he has actually seen his own game properly, he could have like a bit kind of like answered the question saying that, if players felt very strongly about this, they could have just played as Nawe throughout the game, right? You could always pick Nawe. Although certain missions are locked behind Yasuke, certain missions were also locked behind Nawe as well, but you could just play as Nawe from mostly from beginning till end, right? I wouldn't even say till end because I'll get into that in a bit. So you could play as Nawe, right? If he could have answered a little bit like that, just taking the heat off a little bit. Uh, the thing is like they had a really badly written story with really badly written dialogue, right? And towards the end, right, the Templar assassinations, the actual Templar assassinations, right, which comes much late in the game, towards the end of the game, right? Naue is the assassin. Yasuke is the samurai who's supporting her cause. Yasuke never became an assassin. Naue had zero involvement with the Templar assassinations in the end. She was, I don't know if she was even aware of it, but she was not even involved in the missions. Usually, all the assassination missions, both of them are involved, and you can choose who does what in as the assassination progresses. In this, it was Yasuke from beginning to end. The epilogue went through Yasuke as well, sort of, right? And that just was not right because the actual assassin was never involved in the Templar assassinations. It was Yasuke who had a history with the assassins, with the Templars. And look, don't get me wrong, it's not like, yeah, it's just weird, right? It's just weird. That's all I'm going to say. So, yeah.
We operate in a market, and whenever we release a game, we provide a lot of support for that game. We also provide a lot of services to make sure that the game is accessible and remains playable 24/7. So we provide information regarding the game and how long the game can be played. And players and buyers are forewarned that eventually the game may be discontinued. Now, what happened with this game? There was a €1 fee proposed to all buyers of the game. For just €1, they got to buy the next version. €1. It's not a whole lot of money to be able to continue playing a game, and we also announced that the game would be available offline in future so that players could continue to play it. So this is an issue that we've been dealing with. But this kind of issue is not specific to Ubisoft. All video game publishers are faced with that issue. You provide a service, but nothing is written in stone, and at some point the service may be discontinued. Nothing is eternal. And we are doing our best to make sure that things go well for all players and buyers. Because obviously, support for old games cannot last forever. But that's an issue that we're working on. That's something that the industry at large is working on to minimize impact on players. But clearly, that's something you need to factor in. The lifespan of a piece of software, whenever there's a service component, eventually services may be discontinued because the software may become obsolete over time. A lot of tools become obsolete 10 or 15 years down the line. They're no longer available, and that is why we release a new version. And so we have version 2 and then version 3. But clearly, this is a far-reaching issue, and we're working on it.
Oh, wait, that's it.
Far-reaching.
Um, Okay, so yeah, this guy, I don't know, like how much of a software development background does he have? Like, if he is, but um, yeah. So he says that they are working on it, and I mean, like, he can't exactly say tools become obsolete and things like that because much older games still run. Um, Ones that even had live services at a time, they still run. They choose to exist, right? Certain games still do. Um, so yeah, I mean, for them to just discontinue services, like when they announced that they were going to discontinue, the questions are raised whether they could just do an offline instead, because people did ask, right? Like, don't just discontinue it. Like, it's not like they blindsided them or the gamers blindsided these guys, saying that they both parties were like involved in certain degree of conversations. Like, if like this all happened, a lot of these things got triggered when the crew servers went down, right? So gamers were asking like for the offline this thing, but Ubisoft just shut down the servers one day on their mentioned time period, on the mentioned deadline, right? So that's what kind of like triggered everything. um so yeah, I mean, eh, I don't know how much effort, right? But certain effort needs to be done. I think any game that has live services or needs online services needs to have an offline playable state, right? I can understand game developers being a little bit wary of allowing mechanisms where players can initiate their own servers, because they're always quote unquote afraid players can earn from the game and things like that. You know, so yeah, regardless of that, they should be able to like do offline play LAN kind of things, invite friends to play in their own worlds, whatever private servers they choose to up, and yeah, something like that. There should always be some sort of a degree of support, which afterwards the gamers can take it upon themselves to keep running the game without without involvement from the companies, because regardless of whether they mention down the line like this game will only be supported for the X amount of years, right? It still says buy, because we gamers are not renting the game. Then they should, like, everywhere it says rent, and the pricing should be changed to like a rental charge, R- rather than us buying and paying full price for a base game. We are paying a rental fee, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, like, at any point we can just cancel the rental this thing or whatever, and maybe get a portion of our money back. I don't know how does it work, but yeah, if you're buying, that means we've already paid for the game, and now we no longer have ownership. It's all about like this thing of ownership, right? Like we bought it. The term bought means we bought it. That's it. So yeah, that's pretty much my reaction to this entire thing. Like, he just gave some prepared, structured answers. That's about it, right? They knew these questions might come, so nothing definitive. Um, my interpretation of this entire thing is this guy. This guy is just a fine. This guy is just a money dude, right? Like in most companies, yeah, they're just money dudes, right? They don't. Very few of the CEOs actually are bothered about like the true gamemanship and things like that, right? So yeah, he's just money talks. That's about it.